State. U.S. Congressman Gregory Meeks is a New York Democrat, and David Corn is Washington Bureau Chief for Mother Jones. Gentlemen, let me start with Mr. McDermott. Would you support the use of special forces, special ops forces, in the area of Syria going after ISIS? Would you support a resolution which included that action?
I'd have to be convinced by the president. Right now you have Senator Kerry and Senators Hagel negotiating with the Saudis and with the Jordanians. And if we don't have some support from some of our Arab allies going on the ground, I don't think we should get into it. If we say we're going to do it all from the air and drop a few special forces here and there, it's not going to work. It is going to take more than that, and we have to have their allies support us. I wouldn't support just Americans alone in this event.
And you think it's plausible that the Saudis or the Jordanians or the Emirates would actually send fighting units into the field against ISIS? You think that's even plausible?
Well, if it isn't, Chris, then it's not possible to win this, because you cannot win it from the air and win it by dropping in 100 or 200 or 300 or even 3,000 or 4,000 of our special forces. You're not going to win it that way. We should have learned that over the last 11 years. The president is faced with a Pandora's box that George Bush took the lid off of, and you're not going to get the lid back on with a few special forces and drone strikes.
I agree with you completely. Let me go to Congressman Meeks on that same question. The president says no boots on the ground, but special forces are boots on the ground. They may not be marching along in a parade fashion, like a front line in a trench warfare situation, or marching across Europe to get Hitler. When you start putting men in the ground there as special ops units, they could be captured, they will be killed. Do you think we should be doing that?
No, I think Jim is basically right. You've got to have an overall coalition, and that's why I think that the president has taken his time. You know, some was criticizing him, thinking that he should act in a knee-jerk way. No, he's not doing that. He's trying to make sure that we have our allies on board. It's going to be the a coalition of allies who also have things at stake, like those the Kurds and like those in Iraq and Turkey and Saudi Arabia. They need to be all part of this. Now, you do these things, I think, in a coordinated manner. So if, in fact, there happens to be one or two leader that we know how to get, the way that he coolly and calmly got Osama bin Laden, then you may do that. But overall, you have to make sure that the Free Syrian Army maybe is the one that, you have to know who we are arming, but on training, that we have those kinds of troops on the ground to do the groundwork, but you coordinate it all so that you can make sure that you can cut off the leadership, as well as get the people on the ground, but do it with other Sunni Muslims and other allied states and countries, so that we can make sure there's a comprehensive approach to getting this done.
Okay, let me go back to you with the same question I put to Mr. McDermott. Would you support a resolution giving the president authority to put special forces into Syria to fight ISIS? Special forces.
Again,
would you do that?
Yeah, if the president lays out his case and talks about that we are having this overall coalition and that there's going to be roles that each of us play, as he did, even when we went into Libya. He said what the specific role that the United States would play, and he told the truth. And that's what's important, the president telling us the truth as to what his plans are and why he's doing what he's doing.
What makes me think this is going to be a fraternity prank when we're the only ones doing it? Anyway, the president ran on his opposition to the Iraq war. He's withdrawn troops from both Iraq and Afghanistan. He's even won the Nobel Peace Prize. But now he is repositioning his presidency after amping up surveillance, killing bin Laden, to helping to topple Gaddafi in Libya and wanting to strike Syria. He will address the country about a prolonged conflict against ISIS. Yesterday, the president warned about the dangers facing America if nothing is done. Let's listen.
I want everybody to understand that we have not seen any immediate intelligence about threats to the homeland from ISIL. That's not what this is about. What it's about is an organization that, if allowed to control significant amounts of territory, to amass more resources, more arms, to attract more foreign fighters, including from areas like Europe, who have Europeans who have visas and then can travel to the United States unimpeded, that over time that can be a serious threat to the homeland.
Let me go to Mr. McDermott. I am very uncomfortable with the phrase homeland. It strikes me as totalitarian. It's a term used by the neocons. They love it. It suggests something strange to me. Like, who else are we defending except America? Why don't you just say America? Why does he say we defend against attacks against this country? As if we're facing some existential Armageddon threat from these people. Do you buy the phrase homeland as a reference to America? I never heard it growing up. Never heard it in my adulthood. It's a new word. Why are we using it? Is there some other place we're defending? What are we talking about when we say homeland? What's it about, this new lingo? WMD, homeland. It's the language of the neocons. It's a language to get us further into wars. Your thoughts, though. I want yours, not mine.
Well, from my point of view, Chris, it is more of the warmongering that George Bush used to get us in the first place. We started out hearing it was about weapons of mass destruction. That was untrue. Absolutely untrue, and he knew it. But he took us into this war, and then was about getting Osama bin Laden, and after that it was a democracy, and after that it was the awakening of the people out in the Anbar province, and they've been shifting, but it's all about warmongering, trying to make people at home afraid, because they know that if you can make people afraid, you can make them do anything. And they have to keep the American people afraid for him to carry on this kind of stuff. And I don't like the term homeland and all this, because it's really warmongering. The ISIS right now is stuck trying to deal with Iraq. They got dams, and they got all kinds of things they're working with. They're not coming to the United States.
Let me go to David on this, because you and I talk about the ideology involved in this. I do fear the president, although he may be doing what he knows he thinks he has to do, but he's buying into the lingo. You know, Dempsey starts talking like this, then he starts talking like it.
This is the challenge he has. You go back to the Bush years, and they portrayed Saddam Hussein as an existential threat. It was 0 or 10. You either wanted to get rid of him.
There's not going to be a U.S. anymore.
Right, exactly. A mushroom cloud. The president has the challenge here of trying to talk about ISIS in a realistic way. It's not a direct threat to us now. It's a threat to the region. It could be a threat to us down the road in a way that sort of still gets some political support to take step-by-step action. So what he wants to have is to have a somewhat nuanced conversation. Now, you know, when it comes to the neocons and people and the hawks, they don't like that. And on the his supporters on the left sometimes are uncomfortable if you talk in those terms like homeland. So if he can come before the public and sort of talk honestly about why ISIS is a problem without it being an existential, dramatic problem, that's what he has to do.
The people who pushed us into Iraq, gentlemen, are the same people pushing right now. Robert Kagan, the ultimate neocon, on the Wall Street Journal page, the review page this weekend, a whole page about how this is all about fighting Hitler. This is just like fighting Hitler. This is just Munich. What are they, nuts? Anyway, late today, Secretary of State John Kerry spoke about building a global coalition to destroy ISIS. Let's hear him.
Tomorrow, I will travel to the Middle East to continue to build the broadest possible coalition of partners around the globe to confront, degrade, and ultimately defeat ISIL. As we build this coalition, I want to underscore that almost every single country on earth has a role to play in eliminating the ISIL threat. We are clear that President Obama and I and the entire team absolutely understand this is something we must achieve, and we will be successful.